Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 682 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Sam Carlson. And if you want to hear our conversation about marketing is not a vending machine, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today I have Sam Carlson on with me. This guy has done so much great things behind the scenes for so many chiropractors to grow their practices. We're going to take a deep dive in a lot of great topics. He has a software out there called UpHex that helps people with their marketing. I'll let him tell you guys more about that. We're going to talk about his time in the chiropractic space, and we're going to delve really deep into the marketing. He wants people to understand that marketing is not a vending machine, and he's going to teach you a marketing formula that works. And then he's going to share a story that if you do this one thing, it's going to make a huge impact with all things that you believe in when it comes to marketing. And then we're going to go through something that he's done over time, has helped a lot of people with decompression ads. And he's going to talk about how to do that the right way. And then he's done something really cool. He has a case study within Meta, and we're going to touch on that a little bit too. If time permits, we're going to go as deep as we can, as fast as we can with these topics. The big why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is freedom of speech. As you know, that's very important to the world. We know what it's like to be shadow banned, traffic throttled, and censored. We would never do that to you. We do believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. If you're looking for those solutions, find a chiropractor in your city and build a relationship with them. They'll help you with your family's needs. Subluxation-based chiropractic is a part of why we do what we do. Also, we want to get people to understand that chiropractic is a science, philosophy, and art. And you can't do that without philosophy. So we do support BJ Palmer's last written words, which is called The Sacred Trust. If you want to know more about chiropractic and you don't have a real good foundation for it, go into our show notes and find BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you ever did before previously. Last thing, we believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence and the educated intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, and that creates the educated intelligence. And if you know a chiropractic student or somebody that's new into practice that needs help, please share the show with them and get them started the right way. And with that, this is episode 680. Sam Carlson, welcome.
Oh, got to turn the mic back on. What's up, man? How you doing?
Better than ever, man. I'm really thrilled to share marketing knowledge with our audience today. I know that I reached out to you a handful of months ago and was like, dude, let's go. So here it is. It's go time.
Let's go. Well, I'll start out with this. So I sold my agency about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And I will say that was one of the surprisingly sad moments of my career. And in a way where I said, man, I've been helping this audience, chiropractors and all you wonderful people, for 9 years. For 9 years, I helped chiropractors fill their practices with new patients. And I did not anticipate the emotional side of detaching myself from this audience to go and help, in a way, other people start growing their businesses. So I feel a lot of gratitude towards the chiropractic niche, towards people in that vertical. And so when I think I'd seen something about, I don't remember, you were asking about spinal decompression or something. I'm like, man, it would be cool just to go on as a guy who does not have a dog in the race and say, what do you want to know? I'll tell you everything. I'll give you the unvarnished truth about everything advertising when it comes to growing a chiropractic clinic. So thanks for having me. Hopefully we can drop some bombs on people. Value bombs, good bombs.
Yeah. Well, 9 years into helping chiropractors with their practices growth, sold, exited, and now UpHex software. Give us a snapshot of what that is and why people might want to consider working with you with that software.
Yeah. So what UpHex does is it basically turns running Facebook or Google ads into a 3-click process. And it's so easy that I've got a video on our YouTube channel of my daughter doing. At the time she was 10, and you just click the ad, you click it, you go to the library of ads we have, you click on the ad you want, you put in your budget, and you click launch. And that's it. You don't have to know any of the targeting stuff. You don't have to do any of the, like, all the offers, everything. It's just baked into the software. And we sell that as a white label product to agencies, right? And what we were able to accomplish in the agency space was pretty cool. I'm like, hey, I want to help other agencies do this as well. And so that's what UpHex does. So UpHex, effectively, it democratizes the complexity of Facebook and Google. Because before UpHex, you'd have to go to either an agency or a media buyer or somebody that had all of the experience and education on how to navigate this platform. I mean, you know those platforms are not simple, right? Well, with UpHex, you just literally go in, it takes all of that, and you can have your staff member, you can have your front desk running your ads if you want. It's easy. So we built a software that replaced us, and that's what UpHex is.
And the chiropractic space, I know that it's near and dear to your heart. How did you manage to get into the chiropractic profession?
I'm going to try and tell the shortest version of this story I can. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. And I was but I've been like a boom and bust one. Like, some of the stuff I've done well in some things, and other times it's been a challenge. And unfortunately, I was on the downside of another business, and I met a doctor named Dr. Sonny Gill, and our daughters were friends. They went to elementary school together. And I happened to be at a birthday party, and I'm sitting here looking out the window, thinking about this latest failed venture I have, and thinking, oh man, what am I going to do next? And Sonny came up to me, said, hey, come work with me. I'll teach you how to run a practice. And that was the end for me. I started working with him. I was running 13 clinics at once. And he would always say to me, man, we're so good at operations. We're so good at all these different things. If only we could figure out the marketing. And he said it so much to me where I was like, dude, are you trying to kick me out? What's going on? And so I just had that reticular activator going, I just kept thinking about it. And one day an opportunity presented itself. I dove in, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about people that get into chiropractic space that are non-chiropractors, and we find a way to support this profession and really help it thrive. I'm not a chiropractor either, and I came in 16 years ago. Similar story. I started working in a chiropractic biophysics clinic as a traction tech, helping do the setups on people and change the course of people's lives by changing the course of their spine. Yeah. And I realized that this was a really important profession, but I can't tell you how many times people I would talk to, and they're like, well, what do you do? And why should I go see a chiropractor? I'm not injured or I don't have any pain. And I would just have to kind of rebuild my confidence and find new ways to have this conversation with people in the future. And I just realized that chiropractic just needed people to actually advocate for the profession as a whole, not just for the practitioner, but for the message of the profession. So I found that if I could just like learn how to communicate better with chiropractic, like um, confidence, that helped a lot. And I think that by you doing that, you realized that marketing was a soft spot in the game. And if you could help with the marketing aspect of it, you could start getting solutions for these practitioners that needed help. And I think that that's the greatest part of anything with what we do. You know, we come to this low point, the hero's journey. We have something happen to us. We wonder why it's happening the way it is. We're like sitting at the edge of it all saying, dang, how did that not work the right way? And then all of a sudden this new opportunity comes. And this gives us a chance to go be that knight or that savior for this mission. And it sounds like that was something that you went on after you met with this doc.
Yeah, it just kind of happened. Like I didn't say, hey, I want to go start an online business and start doing this. It literally just happened to me. And we had pretty early success, mostly because I really understood my customer. Right? I understood what they needed. I understood from the very get-go what problem I was trying to solve. So we weren't perfect. And especially for those first 3 years, there was a lot of trial and error, just like anything else. And that was like 2015. So 2015 to 18 was a lot different than where it is today. Right? So we got to, the playbook changes a little bit. So, but some of the things are identical. Some of the things never change. Human psychology, as much as you want to say whatever you want to say about human, it does not. That is the one thing that does not change, right? But the method, the delivery, some of the strategic approaches, we modify and we adapt to what's working now.
So one of the topics you wanted to touch on was understanding that marketing is not a vending machine. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, there's one belief that's not serving chiropractors who are trying to grow their practice with digital marketing. And that is thinking that marketing is binary, or in other words, it works in a vacuum or it doesn't. In other words, it is a vending machine. I go to Facebook, I purchase ads, I get the thing back to me. All right. And I'll give you a metaphor and then I'll try and deconstruct this a little bit, because hopefully if you do it right, you could have a pipeline of ready to go to patients coming to you every single month if you do this right. So you play golf?
I can.
Okay. So I can. I like that response, actually. That's very honest of you. So think of, and you're going to drive the green on a par 4. That's ridiculous. Nobody plays the game like that, right? But most people are trying to position their ads, their marketing to do just that. So what are you supposed to do instead? Well, you're supposed to grab your first club, which is your driver, and you want to place that ball down the fairway in the middle. You don't want to go off to the right or the left. You don't want to hook or slice. You want down the middle in the center. Okay. Now that is your ad. Okay. Your ad is meant to drive you or put your ball in play in the center of the fairway. That way, the next things that happen, you can do them properly. So what do people do that is improper? Chiropractors' instincts are pretty good as to something that they don't like, but the reason they don't like it is wrong. So, for example, offering discounted care, back in the day, it was like the $21 offer, get this, that, and the other for like x-rays, adjustment, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. Well, that's a slice or a hook. Why? Because the very first touch that you put on me, the very first approach into the fairway, positions you as the cheap guy. Now, there are times where that does work. If you're the person, the clinic that has over 200 reviews, everybody knows, they all talk about, well, now that became a value proposition. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. But most chiropractors are so stuck in their practices that they don't build their online personality. They don't have all those things. So when you put the ball in play, and you try and do that, that's not going to work. Right? So that's the first thing that you have to understand. What do you actually want to do? You should think of it in phases. Okay. So if we want to get in the center of fairway, next thing we want to do is get on the green. And then the next thing we want to do is 2-putt. Okay. The putting is what you do, James. It's getting on the green and talking to them. That's like people. Like people talking to people is what's going to put that into the green, into the hole. But I got to get them digitally from where they're at onto the green so that we can have success. And I got to do it in a way to where it's happening all the time. How do I do that? The first thing I got to do is I got to position myself as unique. All right. Chiropractors are not unique to the public. Okay. I think that the chiropractic profession is awesome. I think that when people understand, which that comes from, again, what your end, communication, but you're not going to educate people on a belief that they already have in your advertising. So if you're trying to say, I have the best kind of chiropractic, I have the best this, I have the best that, that's not going to work. Okay. You have to go out first addressing very specific pain points. And not talking about your solutions, that comes later. If you're on your first date, if you're all talking about you, he or she ain't going to like you. You ask about them. All right. So seems like you have really bad low back pain, like to the point to where you can't walk. You have, sciatica. You've been told you have bulging herniated discs. Those things aren't good and those things aren't normal. So we take our advertising and we focus them on those problems. And we focus on them in a very accurate way. What do I mean by accurate? I mean, what is that person's life like when they wake up in the morning? I've had back pain. You've had back pain, yeah, Jim?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there are things that happen when we get up. It's like, oh man, I'm stuck in this position, or oh, whatever it is. Those are the kind of messages that we put in front of people to make, one, our marketing accurate. And when it's accurate, that means it's specific. And when it's specific, that means only those people are going to be interested in those ads. We want only those people. We want qualified people only, right? And so when I say marketing isn't like a vending machine, I first want to focus on very specific scenarios, okay? Whatever those are. I mean, my agency did a lot of spinal decompression was a big one for us, a lot of neuropathy, a lot of non-surgical knee stuff. Those were we did some weight loss stuff too, but those on the first day, my goal was to put people in the finding pool and start creating a backlog of new customers. Because what's the number one rule in marketing? What's the number one rule? If real
always
estate,
do it.
Yeah, always do it. Okay, that's good. If real estate, if the number one rule of real estate, everybody knows this: location, location, location.
Mm-hmm.
In marketing, it is list, list, list. You have a customer list, a patient list. You have a growing new list. That's where you're going to get all your sales, and it'll come like that. Okay, so be patient. So understand the first phase of your marketing really should be to build a list of qualified people. And if you approach them in a way to where you serve them first, or with a unique offer, yeah, they'll raise their hand and be like, oh yeah, I'm interested in this.
Well, this wasn't a part of the conversation, but this is kind of how my brain moved with the things you shared.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen like the serial clinic. They're like, they've had 9 agencies work with them over like a 12-month period.
Yeah.
What is the solution for that? Because I know that there's a lot of people that will even reach out to me. They're like, hey, I want to do ads, but I can't even get into my ads manager. Like I've had like 5 agencies work with me in the past 18 months.
So are you talking about getting access to ads manager, or are you talking about stop churning through agencies?
Stop churning through agencies.
Yeah. So that is setting your expectations and making how do you know if you're doing it right? Right?
Most
How do you know
people
if you're doing
don't.
it? Yeah. Most people don't. So first off, don't treat your marketing like it's a vending machine. Okay. Make it okay. It is okay if you spend a month of your marketing, your first month, and you don't get any new patients. That's okay. That is okay. What's not okay is to, like, if your agency comes in and you're like, okay, tell me what our goals are for the first 30 days. If they say, oh, we're going to get you this many new patients, this, that, and the other, say, okay, cool. Show me the ads that are going to do that. If they're doing nothing but discounted offers for straight chiropractic, you know that they're off. And then you're going to say, thanks, I'm going to take a pass. If you get into an agency and they're like, hey, we have very specific campaigns, they're dialed in. This is what we do. And they show you stuff that's written specifically for, like, sciatica, specifically for non-surgical knee pain, specifically for, like, whatever your thing is, right? Whatever you're promoting. Then you're like, okay, that's a green check mark for you. All right, that's cool.
So what I'm picking up here is you have to basically understand the effectiveness of a marketing company or an agency before you allow them to start working with you, and be clear as who you're selecting. So the outcome is it's a shared responsibility. And you
should be very aware of what marketing is supposed to do. If you're so, like, to get marketing in. But what you should be asking is, hey, let's say you're the chiropractor, Jim. And I'm like, hey, our goal of the first month is to get your qualified pool, your finding pool, up to 200 people. Okay. If we do it right, there's sales that are going to come from that, but I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on getting this ad. Let me show you this ad. I want to focus on getting this ad into the hands of 200 people. Why? Okay, well, it's a digital download that shows them new solutions to neuropathy. I want them opting in for that because they've raised their hand. They said, I have neuropathy. I'm looking for something new. I'm looking for something unique. Okay. The touch points after that, or in other words, the approach to the green after that, that happens later. It's okay. We're going to have email sequences going out. We're going to have texting going out. We're going to call our prospects. We're going to treat them like people. You just have to treat each stage of the sales cycle like it's its own thing. The average customer, do you know, and I don't expect you to know this, but do you know the average time frame for a lead to convert into a sale?
I don't.
42 days. 42 days. So if you are a chiropractor and you're doing your marketing and you expect to make ROI in 14 days, you're kind of going against the entire purpose, the entire reason you want to do marketing, right? And what happens, and so, by the way, when I would teach this to my clients, I'd be like, hey, this is what you look like in this time frame. This is how many conversions we expect. And I think what I would tell them was 5% conversions in the first 30 days. And then I'd say the next 30 days, I'd be like, hey, it's 10%. And then the next would be 15%. And they would say, well, why is it more? And I said, well, you have all of the people from that first 30-day pool who are now rolling over to the second 30-day. Just because they didn't convert in the first 30 days does not mean they were crap. It means they're busy. Either they're not as acute right now as they are. I mean, people who are chronic get acute like that, and it happens. It ebbs and flows, right? And so if they come in, we're just playing that part as math, right? It's like, hey, they opted in 30 days ago. Now they're on day 45. They're coming back into that awareness and interest. Why? Because we kept sending them emails. We sent them text messages. We were strategic about how we did that. We didn't say, hey, get my Whizbamer 2000. No, we did it by people talking to people and by using psychology.
Well, let's get granular with these people a little bit, because I know that I do want to give them some takeaways besides us talking about what's going wrong. But Yeah, I know that when we first connected, we wanted to do like a snapshot of a decompression ad.
Yeah.
Is that something that we can still do today?
Well, yeah, let me actually, can I share my screen?
Sure.
All right, let me do this. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'll do this in 2 steps. I want to share the story about how I learned this, because if I share how I learned it, then when I show you what the ads look like, then it'll make sense. All right.
Sure. You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. So is this the Dr. Peavey story?
No, this is our case study. I'll end with the Dr. Peavey story because I feel like that's the cherry on the top here. Okay, share screen. Entire screen. Here we go. All right.
All right, let
me put this in presentation mode. Okay, so I got lucky. You know, sometimes being lucky is better than being good. Sometimes, you know, you keep sticking with something, whatever. But the first 3 years of our agency, we did everything that all the digital marketers say you're supposed to do. And it didn't really feel like like any of it worked, but we just kept going and trying to get better and better and better. And then we actually got lucky enough to have a published case study by Facebook. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, I can zoom in. It's kind of blurry, isn't it?
I can see it.
Okay. So on the left, what you're seeing there is the case study that Facebook launched, their business department. Now, this is actually really cool. And this case study was a pivotal moment in my agency because of the data that the Facebook rep gave to us directly. All right. So this was a brand new clinic. So launching a new clinic, we did 312 leads in 3.5 months. Okay. Now, that was really cool. And the money these guys made, this clinic, pretty awesome. But here's what, let me go ahead and go over to this. Here's what we uncovered in this case study. We started having conversations with this rep, and he was just collecting information from us. Now they have information about our campaign that we didn't have, right? They have attribution. They know all sorts of stuff. And so he started revealing things to us, and we're like, oh, this is weird. Now we were running 3 campaigns on this clinic. We were running a general chiropractic. I didn't know any better. I was doing my best. We were running a general chiropractic, a general acupuncture, and then a spinal decompression campaign. Okay. Our goal was to get the lowest lead cost possible. Like that was our goal. And looking back on it, it's kind of obvious why that's a stupid idea. But at the time, that's all we knew. And so 3 of those campaigns were running. The broad chiropractic and the broad acupuncture were driving a ton of leads at a low cost. So we thought, yes, low lead cost, good. In fact, the spinal decompression campaign was higher lead cost. We're like, oh man, why aren't we getting low lead costs? Well, come to find out, after we put all of this data together and after we talked with our rep and all this kind of stuff, you want to know where all of the ROI came from? The spinal decompression campaign. And we are like, what in the living heck is going on with this? How is it possible? And through a lot of self-discovery and discussions, we figured out, hey, all of the campaigns that are more specific have a pattern. Okay. And we called it, let's see, do I have it on the next page? We call it the qualified lead formula. Okay. Which is this. Everything was niche specific. Okay. No more general chiropractic. Hey, do you have headaches, neck pain, back pain? Or what was the old line? Headaches, neck pain, and back pain are no fun, right? Remember that? That was all over the place. So no more of that. Our offers were clear and they spoke to one singular outcome. And then we tapped into people who were motivated. And what I mean by that is there are acute conditions where people are really motivated. And then there are others where they're not as motivated. So we just focused in on those and we built an entire library of ads on that. Okay, let me see if I can. So does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. I think a lot of people are going to learn from this and they're going to probably see that they need to be more niche specific with what they're doing for their ad build.
Yeah. So that's what, so basically the low quality leads and then the qualified leads. So I hear all the time, oh man, this leads are low quality. No, dude, those leads are unqualified. Or in other words, you went broad. You went to everybody. There's nothing that agency could have done. You can't target. By the way, targeting is bullshit. You can't target rich people or whatever. That's what amateurs say. You don't do that. You create messages that are so hyper specific that only the person who has that thing is like, hey man, they're talking to me. Those people are qualified. Okay. And I use the qualified language really important because our first job is just to get them to do this. We want that ball in the middle of the fairway. So when you start doing that, and I can tell you like some of the really engaging parts of these ads. Okay. When you start doing that, ads really start to work. Now, the one on the left is a version of saying of spinal decompression. Like we want the visual element of this to call out to all of the things that people who like when they talk about, oh, I got a stiff back or, oh, my back or whatever, we're talking to those people. Okay. And a breakthrough treatment. This is not the status quo of chiropractic. We don't start talking about chiropractic. We don't want chiropractic. That doesn't mean to say that we don't want chiropractic. I'm just telling you how you have to speak to the public to advance them to your clinic so you can talk to them and educate them on chiropractic. Okay. So meet them where they're at, not where you want them to be. This ad right here, okay. And this ad right here, the soft wave, dude, goals. Like if you have a soft wave and you don't have one of these campaigns going, you're stupid. That thing will blow you up. And really good demonstrations have proof built in. And so the sales cycle shrinks, right? So the 42 days is general. Well, that has longer for some people and shorter for others. You do a demonstration like that, bam, you're going to crush it. All right. And then I will say just in general, so this is pain. This is pain. This is vanity. I hate to say this. Vanity is easier to sell than pain, just so you guys know. So if you have non-invasive cryosculpting or anything like that, I know that's kind of a thing with your clinics. The reason that the anatomy of those sales funnels seems different is because vanity, satisfying vanity, is more compelling than solving pain. Unless the pain is incredibly acute. All right. I'll stop there. If you have any questions or whatever, but if
I just know that people are going to reach out to me. They're going to say, hey, how do I see this stuff? How do I get access to the things that Sam's sharing?
Yeah. So what I can do is so UpHex has share links. So I can give you a link. They can click on it. And then it has all the targeting and everything involved. Or I could throw together probably like a swipe file or something that has the general stuff in it.
I think whatever's easier for you, but I do think that people are going to watch us and they're going to reach out to me and they're going to be like, hey, I saw that thing on decompression. I want to know how to do that. And I know that we're going to obviously drive people to UpHex to work with you, but everybody loves a good freemium.
Yeah. And by the way, UpHex is I'm not doing this because I want anybody to use UpHex. Like that's not my goal here. In fact, UpHex is mostly the customers of UpHex are agencies, and I'm trying to get those agencies, I'm trying to get them to just do lead generation properly for local businesses. That's my mission today, right? But I will give you guys, and just to kind of like put a bow on the qualified lead formula, these are the metrics that matter. Okay. So if you are working with an agency right now, and think of it like this, with that broad pie, with that broad audience, you are letting too many people in. Just think of it like that. If you got a pie chart, all right, here's the way you want that pie chart to get divided every single time if you're doing this right. 80% of your pie is failure. Okay. You want this says 2% click-through rate of the pie that represents 20%. Okay. So I'll put real numbers to this. If you have 100 people, 1,000 people see your ad, you want 20 of them to stop and to look at your ad. Okay. That means your ad is specific enough. You're doing it right. Then you want 1%, so 10 of those 100 to click the offer. And then you only want 10 to 20% of them to say, yeah, that's that's for me. So that's 1 to 2 leads for every 1,000 eyeballs. Now, Jim, there's an interesting scenario here. You notice that I put a top range on the conversion of 20%. Isn't it better if it was like 40%?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and most people do. That means your offer is too good. Okay? So if you write your offer the right way, if the offer that you make is specific enough, then you don't have to go, hey, give me the whiz bang 5,000 and 2 years free and this and that and the other. Like, you don't do that. You just make it, hey, the next thing for you to do is this, which there's 2 types of offers. There's self-discovery, and then there's test drive offers. Depending on what your services are, you're going to narrow it down to one of the 2. Self-discovery is what's the difference between a survey and a quiz? A survey is the data that gets derived from a survey is for the survey giver. There's no benefit to the survey taker. A quiz, on the other hand, the benefit of the quiz is to the quiz taker. Like those stupid things where it's like, learn what your spirit animal is, or learn like whatever. It's like this kind of stuff. Who's your celebrity? Whatever. Like those are quizzes. I want to learn more about myself. Okay. And so if I wanted to put together like a banger offer for a chiropractic clinic, I'd be like, and actually I used to do this. So for neuropathy, we used to do a thermal scan. And the reason we did that was because people who's their feet are tingly, whatever. And then the next thought they have is, I wonder how bad that is. I wonder if do I have really bad, like what's going on? And so when you say, come in, this is why the diagnostics position the right way can be really compelling self-discovery offers, right? But you have to write the ad in such a way to where it directs them to want just the diagnostic, not the treatment, but the diagnostic. They want to know, hey, is my type 2 diabetes so bad that I'm getting like cancer? I don't know, whatever. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a big takeaway that I'm learning from you today is old school marketing tactics. Give them what they want, sell them what they need. If you sell to everyone, you sell to no one.
Yeah.
And right. You have to really narrow down your gauge of condition specific. And if you give enough condition specific to people, you're going to find ways to narrow down that to where your target audience is a slam dunk. Yeah. And I know what it's like to get people busy with the wrong type of people. and it really burns out them and their staff, and they really don't get many conversions with the marketing strategies that they've gone and done. So I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. It's really cool that you got that case study through with Meta, and you got all those background analytics from somebody else that could see behind the curtain different than what you could see yourself. And I think it's really cool that you want to help guide and steer agencies to do the right thing for the people that they're actually working with and working for. So lots of great things in this interview. I do want you to close out with the Dr. Peavey story. Yes. And share with us that bit of a cherry on top of today's interview.
I got asked this summer by Dr. Josh Satterley, who has different docs that I think he coaches and helps out as well. And he said, if there was one thing that you could share with people, what would it be? And I said, hands down, it's the Ray Peavey story. He goes, oh, tell me the story. So in 2020, Ray Peavey came to me and wanted me to throw a Hail Mary for his clinic. That is not a good position to be in as a marketer. You don't want to work with a business that is just going into the dumps. Now, Dr. Peavey, hey, by the way, Dr. Peavey, if you watch this, love you. Tell your story all the time. It's one of the most incredible transition stories ever. So Dr. Peavey was able to save his practice, double his volume, and add an additional $55,000 of cash in just 2 months after he started doing this one thing. But the first 6 weeks of working with Dr. Peavey were the exact same as every other clinic of the stories you're telling. Nobody's like, I'm getting like, people are acting like they didn't opt into my funnel. They're not answering my call. They don't show up there for their appointments. Nobody's like, all that stuff. That was all happening to him in the first 6 weeks. And so they would call us up. And luckily by that time, I knew what not to do, because when they said, oh, can you target more people with money? I'm like, that's not how that works. We're targeting the right people. Just follow the plan. And one day, so we didn't change any of the ads ever. And one day, after like 6 weeks of failure, like just sinking money into ads, sinking money, like just watching his practice of 30 years go into the dumps, Dr. Peavey was walking by the front desk and he heard a gal on the phone with a lead. Now, she was doing her job. What's her job? Hey, Jim, it looks like you're interested in our neuropathy offer. When can I schedule to get into the practice? That's her job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, without a plan, he said, hey, Sally, let's say her name was Sally. Sally, transfer that call to me. I got to figure out what's going on with these leads. So Dr. Peavey gets on the phone. He goes, hi, this is Dr. Peavey. Sounds like you're struggling with neuropathy. Can I ask you a couple questions about that? In that moment, he changed his life, because he talked to that person like a doctor talks to a person, not like a front desk. This is not an indictment on people at the front desk. They just don't know. They're not trained. They don't go to school to help patients. That's not their job. So Dr. Peavey gets on, has a 3 to 4 minute conversation, asks this patient about them, about their life, about what's going on. That patient shows up the next day, goes through a 2-day report of findings, and closes for a $4,500 care plan. And he goes, oh, what just happened? So he got his team together and he said, anytime a lead comes in, you transfer that call to me. He did that over the next 2.5 months. And he pulled his practice out of a nosedive. And he doubled. So he was down, I think when we started, some of these numbers might be a little fuzzy, but the general theme is going to be correct. I think it was at like 190-ish weekly visits. When he started, he was at 80. When he ended, or after this case study, he was up above 200. And on top of that, he added $55,000 of cash. And on top of that, Jim, you know what he did? He said, this works so well that in 30 years of my practice, never have I ever taken a day off. I don't work on either one of like Saturdays anymore. He stopped working on Saturdays. Now, when people ask me questions about why this was such a compelling case study and why this is the one thing if there was only one thing that we talked about today, it would be this story. Because even if you have crappy marketing, this story can fix your marketing, even crappy marketing, which is people buy from people. And people only buy from you if they know that you care. And at some point in time, you want that vending machine to just vend you the result, and you don't want to put in the care. That's what you got into this for, to care for people. And you strategically have to know at some point in time, I inject a person, and that means two things happen. A life gets changed and a business thrives. Those two things are both good things. Without them, nobody wins. So I would say that the number one thing missing from almost everyone's marketing is empathy. Install strategic empathy into your sales funnel, and you will win. Because the second I learned this, I got this case study from Ray Peavey, which, by the way, if you want to see the entire interview of me talking to Dr. Peavey, just go to Patient Stream's YouTube channel. I still own the YouTube channel. I didn't get rid of that. Maybe someday I'll do something with it. But just go to Ray Peavey, watch his interview. It's like a 45-minute interview where he talks about all this stuff. He kind of glosses over his first 6 weeks. But as a person who went through the 6 weeks with him, I know what was going on. Okay. And that's why I make such a, it's easy to forget how painful something was when things go really well. Right. And by the way, I sold that agency a year ago, but from 2020 until I sold that agency, Dr. Peavey ran the exact same ads. He over and over again, which tells you, if you think that you can't run the same ads over and over again, you're full of shit, because I have done it in many places and I know more than you. So there you go. There's the story.
Well, Sam, thanks for being on with us today. Your episode 680. Sounds like that was your miracle story to close out with, is the Dr. Peavey.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of great things that we talked about today. And, I love the fact that you're a resource for agencies to help support this profession. And I think that if everybody had a lifeline to you and they could plug into what actually works with 3 clicks, they'd realize that this marketing thing isn't so hard. And they'd realize that if they just like repeat process and step and repeat and copy paste, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It just takes the right connections. So thank you for connecting with our audience today.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me. And to all my past clients and everybody else, I miss you guys. I love you guys. I don't know, maybe there will be something I can do in the future, but hopefully this helps.
Yeah. And, I hope to have you on again in the future, Sam. I think that there's a lot to offer, and I think we're just getting the conversation started.
Cool.
Well, I'm going to close out with everybody. Thank you for being our guest today, Sam. I almost called you doctor. This is episode 680 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Thank you for being with us today. I close out like I always do and tell people, you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. See you, Sam.
See you.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.